Well, hello, ID60. We are in the final stretch. So, lecture 14, curb appeal and exterior styling. Let's go. Okay, so by the end of this lecture, you'll be able to identify strategies to improve curb appeal, evaluate and improve front porch appeal, and select the best colors for front doors. Choose appropriate exterior color schemes. So we're gonna just talk about what this idea of staging for exterior is. We're gonna look at the principles of exterior staging. We're gonna look at front door appeal, backyard styling, curb appeal, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So, what is curb appeal? So the official definition is the overall attractiveness of a home's exterior when it's viewed from the street. So it really is sort of a first impression when you're driving up. Does the house sell itself from the exterior? So it's the first photo a lot of times on the listing. So it's super important to have a good impact. It sets the buyer's expectation before entering the home. And it's directly tied to the perceived value and likelihood of the house receiving a showing. So, exterior styling focuses on specific areas like the front porch, the entryway, the side yards, the backyards and patios, and any outdoor seating. So, exterior styling blends design aesthetic and real estate psychology, showing buyers how the outdoor areas can be used as extensions of the interior living spaces. So, some of the principles of exterior styling is cleanliness, and everything must be in good condition. So, very much like what we talked about on the interior of the house, we're removing any clutter, we're getting rid of anything that is personal or that could be possibly offensive or take somebody back or put somebody on guard or make them not feel welcome. So any family plaques or monogram decor. So it's kind of cool to have your name on your doormat, right? And when you moved in, but you want to make the people that are coming to the home feel like this is a place that they can live. So you don't want to have your brand on it. You want to have a friendly mat, right? Like, I kind of like this mat, go away. Or nah, don't want it. But that's not what you want to have at a showing, or it's not what you want to have when you are trying to create curb appeal, because it's sort of a repelling statement, right? I have seen mats that the real estate agent will bring, which is kind of cool. So that's sort of the first thing that people walk across when they go into the space. So they're sort of knowing that the home is for sale and for them. So again, more about cleanliness. You want to make sure that any dead foliage or plants are cut back. Any weeds are pulled. Any old planters or cracked pots, old hoses laying in the way are either put away in a very tidy fashion or actually just picked up and out of sight. Any seasonal decor, you want to make sure that you are not having in the space, and any random decor that just doesn't match. You want to make sure that any old rusty outdoor furniture or barbecue grills or ladders, anything like that, is again put away and out of sight. You want to make sure that trash cans or trash bins are put to the side of the house or somewhere where they're not seen. Any worn out mats you're going to just toss, right? And you're going to make sure that your driveway is nice and clean. So as much as possible, you want to make sure there are no oil stains, and that it looks tidy and presentable. You also want to make sure that there are no super, bright ornaments or things that detract from the architectural exterior of the home. You want all the signage, if there is any, to be friendly. Like you don't want this big warning sign that says beware of dogs hanging out, because again, it's sort of a repellent. You want to make sure that it's not a junk house, right? That the front is cleaned up and everything is put away. Any overgrown bushes or landscape is cut back. Make sure there are no pests, leftovers of what your pets can leave behind. None of that is there. If you have damaged lawns, can you regrow that before the showing? They also have like this green spray paint that I've used many times because I, like my lawn to look nice, but it's not always possible. So you can kind of go get this green paint and paint on your weeds, and makes it look great. Just don't step on it or get too close, because you will see that it's painted weeds. If there are any pests, wasps, nests, bees, spiders, all of that, you want to make sure you get rid of those and clean it up. Any fixtures that are not well mounted and secured need to be repaired. Make sure you clean your windows. I think we talked about this in another segment. You really want all of the really bright, beautiful sunlight to come in and fill the space. It helps it look clean and open and fresh. And so cleaning your windows is an integral part of that. You don't want to look out and see splotchy windows. Any chipped paint. So again, you may be on a budget, but you do want to, if the paint is really chipping, hopefully at least do some touch-ups, or maybe you're just painting the front facade if you can't paint the whole house. Any sprinklers or hoses you're trying to fix. If there are satellite dishes that are not being used, it's probably best to take those away because they are an eyesore. And if you have damaged or faded property numbers, please replace those as well. So your front door should be visible from the street. So again, no overgrown plants or things that block the door. You want to make sure your driveways and walkways are clean and power washed, and that your house numbers are clear and visible. So functionality and flow. So exterior spaces, just like your interior spaces, should clearly communicate, a function. So how are they being used? So is it a small bistro table that sort of hints at going out and having a morning cup of coffee? Is it lounge seating where you're going to be sitting and entertaining? A fire pit is definitely that sitting area where you're going to have guests. And so it helps the buyers just understand the purpose of each space. So why does curb appeal matter? I think we sort of talked about that, is because it's the buyer's first point of entry into the house, right? So it kind of leaves a big impression. So you want to make sure that there aren't cobwebs, that there's no clutter, things aren't broken. What's really nice, and I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but any sort of handle, so whether it's a handle on the door, whether it's a knobs on your cabinet, really expensive knobs and really nice knobs feel different. So if there is the opportunity, if the handle or the knobs on the door feel a little clanky or they're off, a new knob might help, because it's that first tactile experience that your prospective buyer will have with the home. You definitely want to make sure you have a fresh doormat. You want to make sure that you have lights, if at all possible, that light up that front porch and the doorway. And you also want to minimize any types of security features, just because it sort of might hint to a negative perception about safety in the area. You want to add any flowers or charm, like a rocking chair, pillows. These candle holders are nice. And that's it. Any possible paint touch-ups, and I think we talked about that. So again, key elements. I really like this patio. It's very comfortable, right, and relaxing looking. And they're doing that by adding a lot of greenery, which is in pots. So if need be, if it for a certain buyer is too much, you can kind of walk them back or group them in a different way. But flower pots with simple greenery is always great. Clean styled seating and a cohesive color palette. So when you're looking at this exterior, you never want to do more than 3 colors. And I know we talked about that in a previous lecture, so we'll review that again today. So you're avoiding excessive decor, wreaths with a holiday specific theme. You don't want too many plants, but too many plants is in the eye of the beholder. But you do want to make sure they're clean, cut back, and if you need to group them so that it doesn't look like there's plants taking over the whole space, that's great. And you definitely don't want large furniture to block any sort of walkways. So front door choices. And again, you are looking at your buyer, you're looking at the area to help you guide your realtor or your homeowner on what colors are appropriate. Also could be a clue as to what's going on inside the property. But glossy black always is a good choice. It adds dimension, depth, and elegance. Dark wood, always a good choice. It's natural, it's rich. Dark colors tend to add stability. So it gives you that sort of anchored feeling, and again, I really always want my pictures to be perfect, but I liked this door. I don't like that it has this white trim at the bottom. So you kind of have to step up because it makes the door look like it's floating. So I may have, like if I was the designer on this project, I may have actually also painted just that threshold black as well to give it more of an anchor like we have here, right? So that it sort of touches down on the floor or on the ground and doesn't float. Red is always a good color choice, especially if you have a really beautiful door and you're trying to draw attention to it. And if your door is maybe pushed back a little bit further, it helps it be seen from the street. But really, I kind of feel like this is where you get to be creative with your exterior. So any color really could work. So we have dark blues, teals, pinks, yellows. You get to show a little personality in your door. So backyards sell a lifestyle. So you get to identify the primary use. So is it an entertainment space? Is it a dining area? Is it a relaxation retreat? Is it a play area? Is it a pet friendly yard? So these are things that you get to choose from in order to send the main message in regards to what the backyard could potentially be when you're staging. So again, you're looking at your buyer profile and you are coming up with the story, and that's how you're deciding what will be happening in the backyard. So outdoor living zones also could be a dining space, right? So again, you're setting it up the same way you would a dining room, and it's giving your potential buyer the idea that, you've gained a whole nother room in this outdoor space. Conversation zones, so around the fire pit, around the table. Again, this is a bigger conversation than just a bistro chair. So in this particular patio, I have these 2 seating areas. So this one's a little bit more intimate as opposed to this one a little bit more conversational for more people. Maybe there's a pool, maybe there's not a pool, but chaise lounge are always great because they really lend to this idea of a space that is for relaxation. So a small table to hold glasses between them. If you're staging it, maybe if there is a pool, you stage it with some rolled towels, a sun hat, beach bag. And then we have our fire pit. I had to throw this one in there because I love some color. So I think that's a great fire pit. depending on your home, maybe not for a stage, might be a little too bright, but this one works really well in that it's settled. It feels heavy, like it's heavy in nature, and it's sort of, these neutral tones with one blue pop of color. Plants. So you want to, when you are selecting plants, make sure that you're grouping them again in odd numbers. So that triangle rule still sort of applies, right? So when I look at this grouping, I'm going up and I'm going down, right? I look here, I'm going up and I'm going down. So the triangle rule still applies. Doesn't have to be perfectly centered in the middle. Maybe it's over to one side. But to do varying heights, varying shades of green, always works. If you want to have a modern look, you can sort of repeat the same plant. I know succulents or drought tolerant plants for California are really important, and they're also low maintenance, so it's super hard to kill them, and they also look a little bit more modern depending on how you arrange them and which ones you choose. Move myself back over here. So add architectural lighting. So this is also a really great feature. Most people, when they are considering purchasing a home, will drive by at night. So you want the house to be well lit. You can go to Home Depot and get those solar walkway lights, and you can just kind of pop them in to make sure that the house is well lit at night. Up lighting on the house, up lighting into the plants is really great feature to give depth and texture. So architectural interest. So there's the garage, right? And we talked about staging the garage, making sure that it's super clean. And I think that is the ideal situation. So if your garage is clean, if it's super organized, by all means, you could leave the garage door open, especially if it is a area where garages are really vital. In my area, there are no driveways. Like, I live in an area where the house is, it's a historical preservation zone. So there are no driveways. All the houses are 100 some odd years old. So if anybody had a garage, and I do have a garage, but it's in the back alley, you got to come around. If there was a driveway or garage that happened in my area, that would be a preem feature, right? So you would clean it out, you'd paint it, you'd show it off, and that would be one of the main things that would sell the home. In other areas, it's not a big deal. People aren't using the garage; they're pulling up in the driveway or using the street. So maybe it's not important. So depending on the budget and the priorities, you get to choose what is the best strategy for the garage. If you decide not to stage the garage, it still should be clean. It still should be relatively empty, but you can close the door. Just make sure that the door itself is in good order. So curb appeal and landscaping. So again, we have this idea of keeping plants at various heights. So you may have some in the front that grow low, some in the middle, and then they get taller as they go back. You do want to make sure that it's all maintained well so that there are no weeds, there's no clutter, getting rid of those trash cans and those hoses. So it's the same information, just different homes. I think they're all just pretty and charming. So paint color. So we talked about this in a different lecture, I think in the color and paint lecture. But we will review it one more time because you want to make sure that you're limiting the exterior of your home to 3 colors, right? And that includes any stonework or architectural finish. So if there's stone or brick, that counts as a color. So in this case, I have a white cement step, and then the trim sort of matches that step color, the body of the house is blue, and the door is red. So I have that one accent color. So it's nice to either have all neutrals and a pop of color, or maybe you have that dark, medium, light, right? So it's still about that balance of 3 values. So here's another one where I have my dark body, my light trim, and actually the roof too, right? So the roof should also count in that color palette, one of the 3. So in this case, my roof is matching my facade color, and then I have a red door. Let's go back to this one. Yeah, so see here, the roof is actually sort of matching this gray blue color. So you don't want your roof necessarily to stand out too much from the facade of your building in most cases. Again, no hard and fast rules. So just talking about how you're choosing colors. So light colors tend to expand the space, so they make it look bigger and wider, as opposed to dark colors make it look a little smaller. Light colors reflect the sun, so it keeps the interiors a little cooler. Symmetry allows for stronger contrast. So if your house is symmetrical, black and white is probably an easier thing to pull off than if it is non-symmetrical. If it's asymmetrical, then it would benefit from softer colors. So we talked about this current trend, and I'll just reiterate, I think it's lovely and beautiful. I do, however, think it is a trend and will probably go away. And so getting your house back to a typical color, I guess is the right word, will be challenging when you need to go over it with a primer. Also, black absorbs light, which means it absorbs heat. So your energy bill will probably be higher if you are in an all black house. And we sort of talked about all this already. But lovely, lovely house. So conclusion. So curb appeal extends the digital presence. So you want to make every image count. So today's drive-by is online a lot of times with photos and videos and virtual tours. So you need to make sure that the first image they see, which could possibly be the exterior, is just as pleasing as what's happening on the inside. So curb appeal is the first impression, and it also could start to make that emotional connection, which means, that it will have a lasting appeal if it is what your potential buyer is looking for. So a well-styled exterior transforms the property into a complete desirable home, both inside and out. And that's it. So that's our last real lecture. We do have a lecture next week, but it's a sort of a what comes next lecture. So this is the last lecture that will be included on your final exam. So that is coming up in a few weeks. So I'll be posting about that. I will also be posting a study guide and all other supportive tools for you. But it's been fun. I feel like I'm starting to say goodbye already as we have this last lecture. So your final project is right after this. So have fun with that. Talk to you later.